welcome to the first edition of the Get Stress-Free Dentistry podcast, sponsored by dealsfordentist.com. That's right. Who sponsors their own podcast? This guy does. Also, check out my first book, The Stress-Free Dentist, which is available on my website, thestressfreedentist.com, or you can get it on Amazon. And you can get your tickets for the Get Stress-Free Dentistry Summit, which is in Hollywood Beach, Florida, October 12th through 17th. So today we are joined by Matthew Jarvis, and he is the CEO of dentalops.org. So Matt, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, Dr. Black. I'm really happy to be here.
And where are you zooming in from?
It's a small town north of Syracuse, New York. It's called Parrish, New York, about 30 miles north of Syracuse. So I'm probably about a 4-hour drive from you.
Okay. And dentalops.org is your back office outsourcing that puts you in control with plans for claims, payroll, HR, accounting, and more. And you can go to dealsfordentist.com and find their exclusive offer for startups, which is get 35% off your first 3 months and 15% off the next 3 months with 1 year of service. So awesome. Tell me all about dentalops.org and how you help dentists.
So we started Dental Ops. There's so many things out there, HR, payroll, all the risk management stuff, OSHA, HIPAA, and claims, insurance verifications, and all that stuff. And there are so many different companies, a lot of smart people out there, so many different companies that provide these things. But what we've done is we've created a back office, a remote back office, and we gather some of these prime companies together in partnerships like Abide for HIPAA, compliance training partners, for OSHA. We do our own bookkeeping, we do our own claims, insurance verifications and aging and stuff like that, collections and stuff like that, and payroll, and then all the HR, the handbook. So it's a one-stop solution for doctors. I mean, it's stressful enough to think they have to do this on their own in their office with their staff, but then they think, okay, well, maybe I need to outsource, and now they're going in all kinds of different directions, for all these different, I just mentioned, I don't know, half a dozen things probably. But so what we did, why don't we just make it easy for everybody and just do a one-stop solution, and we can take care of, all of those things. And we get discounts, because of volume with compliance trainers and, Abide and all these different people. And so we were able to keep our back office staff fees lower than maybe if you had them in your own practice trying to get through all of this stuff, and it takes you away from dentistry, from a good patient experience. Even if it's not you, the dentist, it could be your office manager or whoever you have at the front desk, and they got their head in the corner trying to figure out how to get everybody lined up with HIPAA and OSHA and all that kind of stuff, where it takes away from the patient experience. So we can kind of mitigate all those problems by just having a remote back office that one stop, one call, we administer and facilitate all those things for you.
Yeah, and all those things you mentioned, dentists do not want to deal with. I mean, we come out of dental school with, minimal clinical training, minimal training in how to even interact with patients. And we come out with zero business or HR or accounting training. So it's intimidating, all these things that you're offering for a dentist, especially a new practice owner, to try to implement these things themselves. It's very intimidating and stressful. And we're best in the chair working on our patients. And as you get bigger, as your staff grows and your office grows, or you go to multi locations, it even gets more stressful. So dentists do not want to have to deal with this stuff. So how did you come up with the name Dental Ops?
Dental Ops, it's options. So when you go to the website, you'll see Dental Ops, and there are 6 options altogether. There are 3 listed out there in front of you. It's insurance verifications. It's patient verifications, I think is the name of it on there, for one thing. The next thing is an essential bundle, and that's like an HR risk management stuff. And you can bundle the claims, verifications, and patient verifications onto that for a certain price. And if you go all the way over to the right, you'll see a pro bundle, and that includes, everything that's in essential and everything that's in claims. And then you can also, in that bundle, there's an additional bookkeeping and that kind of accounting reports and that kind of stuff. So if you don't want certain things, you don't have to pay for certain things. And then we have a special op, which is just the risk management, bookkeeping, and the HR and payroll stuff. So you're not going to get claims and things like that. So that's we try to do the best we can in separating things out that you don't need, and just have a package for everything that whatever that you need.
So I could choose one of the options, or I could get the whole kit and caboodle.
Yeah, exactly. Which would be the pro bundle as a whole deal.
Now of these things that you mentioned, it's just dentists, we have no experience with this. One of the biggest headaches in my office is insurance verification, and the time suck that my staff spends on that is just such wasted time for us and the insurance company. I mean, it's crazy how long everything takes. Do you find that is one of the biggest headaches for dental offices?
It's certainly one of the biggest questions, because if somebody's sitting on the phone, if they're not lined up, electronically, and it does, sometimes it takes 20 minutes, depending on, what insurance it is and all that kind of stuff. But I know that there are people out there with softwares that they're coming out where you can buy the license of the software and you can put them in your practice. That's probably good for group practices where it gathers all the information up, and it makes it a quicker service. And we are looking at actually doing that. So we can, as dental ops, we can purchase that software and we can put it into a bunch of different dental offices and make it go quicker and more effective.
Yeah. You mentioned, as you get multiple offices, the more it just compounds, the more staff time you're wasting. For example, we accept Delta and Blue Cross as in-network PPOs, but there are many offices out there that accept 10, 20, even more in-network insurance plans. And just imagine how much time is wasted on that, in the verification process. So it's that is, outsourcing that is, I think, can take a lot of stress off of the dental practice and the staff. Now, how did you get involved in dentistry?
So I was in the early 80s, gone to 3 different colleges. Back then, as a kid, I was a basketball player, so I went to a junior college for that. And I thought, who's going to make money at this? And so I went to a couple different colleges. In 1985, I found myself working in a dental lab as a denture tech. And from there, I went into management, and that company was called Upstate Dental, and they were out of Syracuse. And a few years later, I found myself managing their New York State offices. I think there were 5 or 6. They had 5 or 6 offices in Connecticut, and they had an office in Maui in Hawaii. And so I managed those offices for a while, and another guy managed the ones in Connecticut. And then in 1996, a doctor that worked there at Upstate Dental, we split off and started our own management company. We went and built, I think, 4 practices from there.
So you literally went from setting teeth on a denture to a management company.
Yeah. I went and I managed there. I went from the laboratory into managing their offices. And then, of course, like I said, 1996, a dentist and I got together and we did Great Lakes Dental. And we had a couple offices in New York State. We got a couple offices in Texas. And of course, the Texas was a different name. But we sold out. He bought me out. He went on to another company. And then I started another management company in 2008. Now that was called Valley Gate Management Company, and we built 4 offices from there. And now we're doing just the back office thing with dental labs now. So we've really just launched dental ops not that long ago.
And why did you start dental ops?
You know, we did the whole in-office thing where we had staff, we built the practice, the dentist would, be the PC owner, and we would bring in the staff and stuff like that. But what I've really found is that it's limited. I mean, how many of those can you do without a whole bunch of venture capital money and DSO money and all that kind of stuff, which it works for a lot of people. But, I just wanted to take our core back office stuff and bring it to everybody. And so, the way to do that would be online and in packages like that, so that everybody can get what they want, choose what they want, and not feel like they're obliged to do all this stuff. I mean, we have a 60-day commitment. And the only reason why we got a 60-day commitment is because of it's the HR payroll stuff. It gets too weird when somebody wants to opt out immediately. Well, you got a bunch of people on their payroll and, that kind of thing. So we just for a smooth transition thing, we just like everybody to, stick with it for 60 days. But that's, I mean, the thing about it is that it works really well, and, people are loving it. So it's a good service.
So what I really like the fact is you're giving dentists a choice. They're not stuck with one, one big package where they have to get everything and things that they don't need. You're offering choices. And it's not really a long-term commitment. I mean, 60 days is a blink of the eye. And like you said, because of the HR, you need to have that 60 days, but it's not like we're locked into a year or 2 or 5-year long commitment. So, that I think is very, very attractive. I personally I want to avoid 2-year-long contracts with any vendor. So do you consider like dental ops as almost like a DSO of, like, if I hired all your services, let's say, are you essentially like a DSO within my office?
That's a good question. The DSO really is like a venture capital money. They come in and they're purchasing your practice, and they're dictating everything non-clinical, sometimes clinical. We give the doctor, actually what we're not a DSO, we're an ASO. So administrative services organization. So we don't have any ownership of the practice. We're not making any part of your revenue percentage. It's nothing like that. We're strictly a vendor where instead of having us in your office as staffing, we just do it remotely. And that's because so that we can help other people too. So, it's really a situation where the doctors can, choose what they want and, not have to be, like you said, not have to be obligated for this, a payback, like in a DSO or anything like that. We're just strictly a vendor.
Yeah, so that's interesting. I bet if you ask 10 different dentists, you get 10 different definitions for what a DSO actually is. Personally, I see a DSO as like you said, an administrative, like a back office support. But most likely you're giving up ownership, a percentage of ownership for that service. And that's great for some dentists. Some dentists love that. I got a buddy in Palm Beach Gardens, and he's part of a DSO. He just wants to do the dentistry. He doesn't want to deal with any of that back office administrative. So that works for him. And he's given up, percentage of his office. But in your situation, you're not. In fact, after 60 days, we could part ways if it's not working out. What would you say is your target practice? Is it the solo practitioner or the non-DSO type of practice?
Well, yeah, in that respect, just to kind of go back a little bit to what you were making that point about the DSO is that, we're providing all the services that the DSOs provide, and you also get to keep your money.
Yeah.
You also get to keep your practice. So you're just paying us as a back office. So that's good. But to your recent question, we think we can help anybody. I mean, we believe we can help anybody, a group practice or a DSO that needs some of these services. But I think probably the most attractive we're going to be is to sole practitioners, or maybe a couple of doctors, maybe there's 3 doctors, maybe there's 3 hygienists, that kind of thing, where they have just enough going on where it's like, whoa, this back office stuff is crazy. We need to either hire somebody or 2 people to do this, or we can just, outsource it to like a dental ops and take care of all this stuff. But again, I mean, anybody, sometimes when you get into the big DSO companies, they got 10 practices, maybe they already have a group of people in their practice that, can kind of do all that stuff. But if you have like an office manager and all their time is taken up with this back office stuff and they're taking away from a patient experience, I mean, let's face it, dentistry's tough and everybody is feeling it when they come into the office. The dental assistants, the front desk people, including the patients. And if the patient feels as though they're not getting that warm and cozy to kind of take the edge off, I mean, might not be a great situation for them. And so one of our objectives is to keep the staff, that patient-friendly situation, and we'll just take care of the rest of this stuff.
Yeah. So actually, I was going to ask you how this works with the staff, because if I, hire or purchase one of your packages, staff could take it the wrong way, like they're getting fired, they're going to lose their job. But in fact, it's to unburden them from these, time wasting hours that they're spending on these back office jobs, and we could use them in more productive ways, like the patient experience. And personally, in my office manager is dealing with a lot of these back office issues, and she doesn't have time for the patient experience or helping me with marketing or other things that we could use to grow the practice to get to the next level. So the staff doesn't need to be worried about this. It'll work in their favor, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So, again, I was, I belong to, I don't belong to it, but I did a podcast for the American Association of Dental Office Managers. And that was one of the topics. I mean, this is actually a benefit to, office managers, so that, because they're overwhelmed. I think you just recognize that in your own office manager. That person can be overwhelmed. And so some of these things can alleviate those problems and mitigate the problems that they're having. And, we'll just take care of the back office stuff, so that, I can't stress enough about, and you probably agree, this patient experience. Let's just take the phones, for instance. I mean, most of your first patient contact is probably by the telephone. And if they can't answer the phone properly because they're overwhelmed with some of these things that we've been talking about, I mean, that's right from the jump, the dental practice is suffering. So, we're hoping that we can get dentists to see the benefit of doing a remote back office and taking it right out of their office, so that they can have a better patient experience.
That's actually a really good point. So, an overwhelmed staff member, someone on the phones, the office manager, they're rushed. They're not going to have the time to be able to sit there with that, especially that new patient that's calling. I mean, the value of that new patient, depending on, your office, could be, they say $2,500 to $4,500 over the lifespan, and then they bring their family members or their friends. But if you don't have the time to get that patient to say yes to come in because you're overwhelmed with all this other stuff, or you're rushed, I mean, that's just money slipping through the cracks.
Sometimes big money. I mean, you put somebody on hold and they're like in pain. The last thing they want to do is be put on hold. I've got a good story. When many years ago, we started one of the dental practices that we started. It was, we were just starting out. So it wasn't busy in the very beginning. And I happened to be in the practice, be in the office at the time, at one time. And it was like, 4:30, and we closed at 5. And everybody was like, including the doctor, it was like, oh, we've just been sitting here most of the afternoon twiddling our thumbs. It's a beautiful day. Let's just go. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna stay here and answer the phone. They're like, no, come with us. We're gonna go to the park. We're gonna have a picnic, whatever else we were going on. So no, I'm gonna stay. And I tell you, at 4:58, the phone rang. I answered, and it was a $3,500 extraction insert case.
Yep.
You can't you can't let that stuff go. You have to be attentive. You got to stay with it. And the only way you can stay with it is by being there and being available for them.
Yeah, missed calls or on hold, it's it's not a good look. And B, it's not good for that patient conversion. Someone that if you miss the call, that potential new patient is just going to call the next office down the street. So who are like the key partners of dental ops?
Right. So as a back office, we gathered up all these partners. One partner, for instance, is Abide. I don't know if you've heard of Abide. They're down in Tampa. They're expert at HIPAA. So again, in this package, we take care of all of your HIPAA needs. We get a good deal from Abide, so we get a discounted price. So that's that. OSHA is compliance training partners. We deal with Henry Schein. Sometimes we can get good discounts with Henry Schein for equipment and supplies. We do our own bookkeeping, but mainly it's the HIPAA and the OSHA stuff that is really handy for our clients. But Dark Horse also, have you heard of Dark Horse, Ruben Camp and Dark Horse IT?
Yep.
Yeah, he's out of Syracuse too. So Ruben, they just have great results. So we use Ruben and Dark Horse. And you mentioned marketing. There's a group out here towards Syracuse called the Ad Group, and they can take care of all your marketing stuff. I've been dealing with Ryan Bean and Dave Bean. They own the Ad Group, father, son. I tell you, just nice guys, super sharp. Ryan's a young guy, and he is just all over marketing, signage, and that kind of stuff. GKG is Gilroy, Kernan and Gilroy. They are an insurance company out here, Central New York area, and they are super great with cybersecurity and insurances. So they really strip down what insurances, the dental office needs, whether it's commercial or health insurance or whatever. They're really making sure that you're getting what you need and you're not overpaying for stuff that you don't need. So all these partners are just, they're just the best. I feel they're the best. And that's why we got lined up with them, and everything's covered, whether or not it's actually through our own bookkeeping, our own insurance verifications, or in our own payroll and HR stuff, or we bring Abide in and they do the risk management stuff. So it's all covered in those fees. Now, when you get IT, obviously we're not paying Ruben to come in to fill up your office, but he's a good partner and a resource for anybody who needs IT stuff.
Okay, so there's some aspects where dental ops is providing their own services, and then there's some other services where you have partnerships and discounted rates. Can you explain about the bookkeeping aspect to your
Sure.
one of your options?
Yeah, so the bookkeeping is on the bundle, on the Pro bundle. And so we can, and including in that bookkeeping is insurance, like electronic insurance, posting of checks.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also just a regular ledger, your bills getting paid, but we just line up all your bookkeeping for you. So, bookkeeping, sometimes people are just like, oh, now I gotta put all this stuff, classify all this stuff, itemize it, I'll put it in where it should be so that my accountant knows what's going on at the end of the year. Well, we do all that for you. We prepare all that stuff so that the accountant has everything that they need for you.
Yeah, I mean that's a lot of services you're offering there. Pretty much it's all the back office stuff.
Yeah.
And like I was saying, as a young dentist coming out of school who doesn't know any of this, if you're looking to open up your own practice and you don't have the experience, then you may want to look into outsourcing this, because it's can be overwhelming and intimidating to think about all the other things that go along with opening up a dental office. So I'm going to ask you a question that may blow your mind here. What would you say dental ops is not?
Dental ops, it kind of goes back to what we were talking about at DSO. Like you said, if there are probably 10 different answers to what a DSO is or isn't, but I would say that we are not a DSO. we are an ASO, as I said. We're just a vendor and administrative services organization. But there's also other things out there like a PEO, which is a professional employer organization. I don't know if you or maybe your clients are familiar with a PEO, but a PEO is like an insperity where everybody in your office works for somebody else, but we're not a PEO either. None of our employees are going to be in your practice. We are strictly an ASO, administrative services organization, and we do remote back office services for your office. And it's just really as simple as that.
Awesome. I'm going to ask you one last question here. What advice would you give to young dentists or entrepreneurs?
Don't sweat it. I mean, it's so easy for me to say that. I've been a business owner since 1996, but introspect, find out what it is that you want. What do you think is going to make you happy, and then don't worry about the fear and the doubt. I'm a big affirmations guy. I mean, yoga is part mindfulness, meditation. I do all of that stuff. And if you can remove the fear and doubt to me, it's not real. It's all in your head. It's all, and you got to replace that fear and doubt with success and joy. And so if you take away the fear and the doubt and you replace it with a success and joy, you're going to be okay. And one of my ways of doing that is meditation and those types of things. But it's really, for me, it's affirmations. Affirmations sometimes for people, they think, oh, just the redundancy of an affirmation. But I put that, I say those affirmations, it gets into my subconscious, and I'm able to, remove fear and doubt and move forward with success and joy. And that's how I do things. And it might not work for everybody. Sometimes just simple gardening or swimming, whatever it is that they physically want to do to alleviate stress works. And I do all those things also. But for me, the affirmations is really what works. It keeps my mind focused and going in the right direction.
Yeah, I think that is a really good point, because, when I was first starting my website over the quarantine, I said this in my Dino Nugget speech, where I looked at my kids' Dino Nuggets and I said I could sit here and do nothing and eat my kids' leftover Dino Nuggets over the quarantine, or I could do something I'd never done before. And that was starting my website, Deals for Dentists. And I think, fear and doubt, it's a normal response when you're trying something new, something you have no training in, mm-hmm. but you have to manage it. And it's not necessarily bad. It's there to protect us from doing something stupid and making really bad decisions, but you have to manage it. And if it's inhibiting you from growth, then you got to silence it. And it's all, like you said, it's all in your head. I had no business writing a book. Who am I to write a book? I was a B- student in high school, but I didn't give in to that fear and doubt. And I did it. So to any dentists out there, or entrepreneurs in general, you can do it. You just gotta, you gotta stay the course. Thank you so much for joining us. Again, Matthew Jarvis, CEO of dentalops.org, back office outsourcing that puts you in control with plans for claims, payroll, HR, accounting, and more. And you can go to dealsfordentists.com and you can get their exclusive offer for startups, which is get 35% off your first 3 months plus 15% off the next 3 months with 1 year of service. So Matt, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks so much, Dr. Black. I really appreciate being here. And again, congratulations for your new book coming out. Super exciting. And that podcast last night, it's awesome. I'll be picking it up. It is. Yeah, and I'll be going to the summit in Florida, and I'm really looking forward to meeting you in person.
All right, well, let's be in touch. Thanks so much. Take care.
All right, bye-bye.